Hi, welcome, it's Mike Newton back in the swing studio here. I've just got another little head-to-head here. I've just done a previous video against the Strixon blade, against the Mizuno MP-5. I'm just going to do another little head-to-head here between, keeping it in the Mizuno family here. I've got the MP-5 against the MP-4. Now the MP-4 was launched before the 5. The 5 came in, but both irons are still available on the market, and they're slightly different against each other. So they're both are very obviously classic sort of blade iron here. So we've got MP4 on this side here, MP5 here, okay. What Mizuno is saying here is the MP4 is the true classic blade. Very thin top line, hardly any offset. It's got a little bit of stripper weight across the back here. A very small compact head for a very true shot shaping, manipulating of the golf ball, you know, for these real pure ball strikers out there. The MP5 is a slightly bigger head, slightly thicker top line, and it's a little bit more of a forgiving blade. So this MP5 sits between the MP4, the true blade, and then between the sort of these small cavity players irons like the JPX 900 Tour iron, for instance, or maybe the MP-25 iron that Mizuno have done. So it sits sort of or like slight transition into those cavity irons here. So the MP5 has that little channel across the back here. You can just about see that, this little channel here, which helps you a little bit stability on off-center hits there, which is quite interesting in a blade iron, because generally you think blade, if you miss middle, game over. So this is maybe just helping you out a little bit. So if you really do want that very classic blade iron, but maybe the MP4 is just a touch scary there. You know, it's a very small, compact, thin top line there. Maybe the MP5 could be a really good option. I imagine it probably would be a more popular option than MP4. Okay, so I'm just going to hit both together. Now, both 6 irons here. They've both got Dynamic Gold S300 shafts, 1/2 inch longer, and both are 2 degrees upright on the lie angle. So identical in every way, and the lofts are absolutely the same as well at 30 degrees for 6 iron. So absolutely identical specs here. Okay, so I'm going to hit both and maybe just give you a little bit of feedback as to maybe the strike here, the feel off the club face. You know, maybe when I do miss middle, which I probably will do, you know, I'll just give you that little bit of feedback whether one feels more stable than the other, etc. And we'll just have a look at some numbers off GC2 and HMT as well. Okay, so just have a quick look at the playing position here. So we've got MP4 on the left hand side, MP5 on the right. So just try and get a good angle here of that top leading edge, probably about there. You can see MP4 on the left there, just a slightly thinner top edge, which is basically what Mizuno is saying on the website there. So the MP5 just a slightly chunkier maybe look from us in a playing position anyway. To be honest, look at the head size from heel to toe, it looks identical on the size of the head there. Just looking at it from a slightly different position there. Okay, but maybe obviously a little bit more weight in that channel section of the MP5 there, obviously providing that little bit more for giving us an off-center hits. But we're gonna test that now and see if that's true. Okay, so we're going to start with the MP4 first. Again, a very small, compact head behind that golf ball. Makes the golf ball look quite big actually. Okay. Yeah, struck that nice. Little bit pushy, but struck it really solid. Okay, that carried out at 175. Okay, so another go. Okay, slightly straighter hit. It's just a smidgy heavy was that. That just took a little bit spin off that. That carried at 180. Okay, let's see. Yeah, it's dropped about 600-700 revs of spin there. Just caught that fraction heavy. Okay, let's hit another one. Yeah, and struck pretty well, just a touch pushy. That carrying at about 180. Ball speed 125. Spinning at 5,500. Good consistent spin number there. Struck that really well. Feels beautiful. I mean, when you hit these clubs out the middle, I don't think there's anything that will beat them. Struck that great there. 183 carry. 126 ball speed, spinning at 5315. Okay, we'll just hit one more. Beautiful looking golf club. Ooh, that was a bit of a weak one. A little bit of a pushy, weaky one there off the toe. Not a great strike. It felt pretty good, but I know I've missed middle. Yeah, 171, dropped off quite a bit there. 123 ball speed, spinning at nearly 6.2, so I've just spun that off a little bit to the right there. Okay, so some good strikes in that. Last one was a little bit of a poor one, which is showed up on the screen there. It's a very small looking golf club behind that golf ball. You know, it makes the ball look like it's an oversized golf ball. I'm not sure how confident I feel putting a 3 or 4 iron or even 5 iron behind that golf ball out on the golf course. Not too sure. It may just scare me a little bit, that, but feels fantastic. Okay, going to switch over. Got the MP-5 here, exactly the same shaft. Diamond Gold S300, half inch longer, 30-degree loft, exactly the same spec, and we'll pitch it up against that MP-4. Okay, so we've got the MP-5 in our hands now. So I'll hit a batch of shots with this one. Yeah, nice hit. Little bit toey that, but felt really solid still. That carried out at 180, ball speed 124, spinning at 5174. Definitely seeing that slightly thicker top edge there. That's something that's definitely standing out to me there. The difference between that MP4 and MP5. Seeing that slightly thicker top edge. Head size, I think from heel to toe, as I said earlier when we looked at the playing position, looks very, very similar. Okay, let's give this one another hit. Oh, that was a little bit of a leaky one. That was similar to that one I hit with the MP4 there. It's dropped off a little bit of distance there, 170, 116 ball there. I caught that a little bit heavy, just a little bit toe there. It's just pushed out to the right. Again, good strike, just a little bit pushy there. Just not quite getting this, just presenting that face a little bit open there. Pitched at 171 there, 121 ball. Okay, this is a little bit more me than the actual club here. Let's try and just deliver this face a little bit squarer. That was a better shot. I really hit that one well. Struck that beautiful. Yeah, absolutely flushed that. 187 carry there. Okay, 129 ball, spinning at 5.3. That was a beautiful strike, really solid. That felt fantastic. Try and hit another one like that. A little bit heavy, touch toey. Yeah, 174 carry that one. Ball speed 118, yeah. So you can see there, just not quite catch middle. There's maybe some slightly bigger drop-offs there. And this is probably applies to both these irons, to be honest. You know, MP4 got one a bit slightly toe, pushy, a little bit cut off. You know, it's dropping back, maybe possibly that sort of 10 yards or so there. So I think when you flush these, like that previous shot, second to last shot there, absolutely pure that. Just felt beautiful, absolutely beautiful. But maybe, you know, days when your time's not quite on. Possibly the MP5 might just help you out a little bit, but it is a little bit. You know, I think these small cavities are maybe, you know, starting to become more and more popular. I have actually done a video on that. You can go and check that out. I'll put a little link up above here. Just, you know, with maybe the future, these blade irons against these small cavities is quite interesting. Really. Right, let's have a little look at some numbers and we'll see if there's any differences there. So just looking at some numbers here between the two irons. So we've got MP4 in the red, MP5 below in the white. So see, club head speed very, very similar. Probably expect that really. Ball speed just a slightly down the MP5. But it hit the strikes quite as good as the MP4, even though it's a bigger head with a slightly more forgiving technology behind it. Launching pretty much exactly the same. You sort of expect that from the same lofted golf club. Spinning just slightly down there, but that's the reason being because I caught a couple there just slightly heavy. You can see how it drops the spin off 4.5 to 4.2. They're just some slightly heavy strikes there, which you've seen a drop off in carry distance there. So that's just brought the carry distance down ever so slightly against the MP-4. You look at the ones which I hit really well. You can see there's the one at 183 carry. There's that one I flushed at 186. So the peaking out ones are pretty similar, to be honest. So yeah, the MP5 slightly more forgiving, but maybe the numbers aren't showing that. I did strike the MP4 slightly better, but that's only a test of 5 shots with each club. You've got to look at these tests over maybe longer periods, weeks, months, maybe over a season, to be fair, with these sort of bladed clubs. So probably what you'll see there is some very, very similar sort of numbers there. Strike is changing those numbers, if everything. I think if you struck all these the same, the numbers are going to be pretty much identical. But obviously, we do move strike as humans. We're not robots, so we are going to move strike. Mizuno saying the MP5 is just slightly better on the off-centre hits, possibly. I didn't quite see that. It felt. I mean, I missed the MP4 off the toe slightly. It felt pretty much the same as when I mishit this one. I just mishit this one only in those 5 shots I've hit. Missed it that maybe 1 or 2 times worse than the MP4. So that's probably why the numbers have changed down that way. But as I said, you've got to test these over maybe a longer period here to really see a difference there. But what I'll probably say is, for me, I don't play a lot. I feel like I've got to play a lot of golf and strike it really well to get a very consistent run of numbers out here. I just wouldn't like to be stood there 100 or 190, 200 yards out with a 5-iron in my hands on a cold day, trying to strike a golf ball. I'm knowing I've got to get it in the middle, as best I can, really, to try and get the performance out. It just doesn't float my boat, that in any way, shape or form. So to me, it's a very scary club. But they look fantastic. They feel unbelievably good. So it all really depends on your strike pattern. You've got to go out there and test it. If you're a very consistent striker of the golf ball, then there's no reason why you can't be using something like this. But maybe you could go down the option of comboing. So maybe if you do go into this 5s, 4s, maybe 3 irons in these, they're quite daunting to hit. You might want to combo that with possibly MP-25 in the longer irons, or even the H5 irons. There's a few different options out there to maybe just blend that in and keep these in the shorter irons, which generally going to strike more consistent anyway. Okay, so hope you found this video interesting. MP4, MP5, which would you go for? Comment down below, let me know your thoughts on that. Have you got a set already? Is this something you may want to go out and test? Okay, be interested to hear your thoughts. Let's interact here, let's keep the conversations going. I'd love to hear your comments. I'm replying to pretty much every comment I'm getting at the moment, so I do appreciate the comments coming in. Okay, please subscribe. There's a button up there to do so. Check out my other videos, and hopefully we'll see you all very soon.